active and defending.
I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. Big up Ian Wright for that one. People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, appreciative to all of you lot tuned in. God bless you all. With it being the 3rd of December at the time of making this video, new month, new blessings, people. Hope whatever you lot want in your private and professional lives comes true. And I hope you and your loved ones have great health, and appreciative for all of the support you lot have given me in 2023. Smash the like button, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Let's keep this growth going. Now, allegedly, João Palhinha has been linked with Arsenal. Connor Hume, who I believe, works for the AFC newsroom and does a couple of other bits and pieces. Again, don't know if respectfully, don't know if they know what they're talking about. If they're in the know, it's all essential guesswork. Fulham midfielder João Palhinha is a potential transfer target for Arsenal, but it would more likely be a summer transfer. Now, Palhinha is Premier League proven. He plays for his country. He addresses midfield. He's an all-action, tenacious, experienced midfielder. He's got a lot of things I would like. But when you hear reasons for Douglas Luiz not signing for Arsenal, apparently the first is, on top of obviously Aston Villa not letting him go cheaply under big contract, probably not going to let him go in January and have to spend big money on the man. You hear his age profile doesn't really fit, which I don't necessarily disagree with, and I definitely don't agree with. But João Palhinha is 28, turning 29 in the summer or something like that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It's a guesstimate. So he'd be a year older. For the fee that Fulham might seek, it might be something ridiculous. Again, he's actually signed a new deal at Fulham. He was linked with Bayern Munich. Remains to be seen if they'll go back in for January. He seemed within touch and distance of signing for Bayern Munich in the summer. As I said, remains to be seen if they'll move for him again in January. Now, Fulham undoubtedly would sell him cheaper to a foreign market. He's not going to come up against them. Not that Fulham and Arsenal are rivals, and he's just not a thing like that. So I'm not too sure. So for the fee, for the age, I don't think it makes sense, but he would be lovely in midfield. I think we all know we need midfield additions come January and also the summer. So that's probably why he's there. I think he's a player that you can't help but appreciate, but I think it's a myth and will cost a healthy fee, really. Bit like Douglas Luiz, different position, but Pedro Neto and potentially Ivan Toney. Again, football transfers have spoken on Oshimen. Apparently, he's on the verge of penning a new deal with Napoli, according to the club president. As you know, he's contracted until 2025, primarily linked with Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain, and also Chelsea. And it remains to be seen if he will commit his future to Napoli, which I'm sure they want him to, because if they sell him, they're probably going to sell him for 130, 150 million. If they don't sell him, if he doesn't agree a new deal, then I think he goes for 100 million, 130 in the summer. Because, Napoli, they find these players and develop them, but they spent big money on him from Leo. You can't afford to let him go on a free, especially in this day and age where there isn't too much confirmation around strikers and their quality. But allegedly, for Oshimen, we're about to sign the contract that has been pending since the summer. So that's what I'm reading other things. That's what obviously the club president has said. But until it's signed on the dotted line, who knows really? And even if he signs a new deal, I do think that would move Arsenal away. I do think a team like Chelsea would move for him. I don't think anyone would move for him in January. I wonder if there's a release clause or a gentleman's agreement if he commits his future to Napoli to move. But as you know, in business, unless it's in dotted in, the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. It's in plain black and white. There's no legalese. There's no grey areas. Black and white, you can leave for X amount. I'd be very wary. We all know Napoli are notoriously difficult to do business with. But it comes as a blow to, I'm sure, Arsenal and Chelsea for maybe what they might do in the summer or in their January plans. But again, until it's officially confirmed, who knows, people. Ruben Neves has shut down links of a pending departure from El Hilal and a return to the Premier League. He's been linked with Newcastle and Arsenal, people. So we'll have to see. Romano has said as well, before we get into that, the top transfer target is Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. There is nothing with Ruben Neves despite rumours. But for Douglas Luiz, from my understanding, it's not an easy deal. Arsenal will try. Arsenal dream of him, but it's not something concrete, people. Ruben Neves himself has said, I don't go. I think that's rumours because of the owner of the clubs, of course, and because I played in England as well. There was Newcastle interest before I came here, but I'm really happy here. My family is really happy here, so I'm having a great time and earning a lot of money. Everything is going really well for me, and I want to stay here. Now, he's never going to come out and say I want to leave, but that tells you that. Apparently, Vlahovic has spoken on a potential move to anywhere away from Juventus. As we know, he has been linked with a move to Arsenal and a couple of other clubs. Juventus probably want him to commit his future. We need a striker. And a couple of Januaries ago, if not last year, I think it was the summer before. We were aggressively linked with him before he signed for Juventus. And at 23 years of age, there's a lot of upside, people. He said, I didn't experience it as a different summer from others. My point of view, nothing happened. I've always been focused and calm, even during the tour in America. When I missed a match against AC Milan due to a physical problem, I've always been calm. I was always sure I wanted to stay. The noises are always there and they are part of the game. If we start listening to everyone, we can go crazy. I isolated myself and only thought about the retreat. And in the end, I'm very happy I stayed. It was what I wanted, people. Apparently, he said, I play in one of the biggest important teams in the world. I'm honored and proud. For now, I see myself here. A lot can change, in my opinion. I still have 2.5 years left on my contract, but we're in no hurry. The Juventus sporting director and my agent are already talking. I'm very happy here. So that tells you they're trying to dot I's and cross T's to give him an extension. But if there's any question marks there, I'm sure Juventus be open to selling. Keeping up the theme with strikers, Thomas Frank allegedly has sent a message to Arsenal and other clubs interested. I don't want to lose him. I hope and think he'll be a Brentford player on February the 1st, as do I. Everyone saw what he did last year. It's not like he broke a leg or did his ACL, so he's fit and probably even more ambitious to get success. I'm convinced he'll be absolutely on it. I don't think he's first choice for Arsenal, Chelsea, or other clubs. I do think clubs want to see how he navigates his return to the Premier League and what he can do. I do think, if there was a deal to be done, Arsenal would do it, considering the fact he's got 18 months left on his deal. But if you're Brentford, Mbeumo and Wissa will be leaving you at some point in January to compete at the Africa Cup of Nations. So I'm sure they want to keep Ivan Toney as cover / as somebody to play up front. And nobody owes anyone anything. You make them an offer that can't be turned down, then you never know. But they've stood by him. And I think Brentford have done very well with this whole betting scandal stuff. As you know, he got 20 league goals in the Premier League. He's changed agents. He's got 18 months left on his deal. There are some rumors he could even sign a new deal with a release clause. So we'll have to watch that one day closely, people. Never seen this guy play before, but apparently Arsenal are among the clubs interested in 16-year-old international attacking midfielder Gabriel Carvalho, who has a 60 million release clause. The club will send scouts to monitor the player at the upcoming Copa Sao Paulo. So we should be scouting players of tomorrow and definitely in Edu's homeland in Brazil. But him being 16 means he wouldn't be able to join us until 18, so it's probably one that we're going to keep scouting, or if we sign him, it's more of a long-term project in mind, people. Smith Rowe has again been linked with Aston Villa. Emile Smith Rowe is determined to make an impression under Mikel Arteta and fighting for his starting spot at Arsenal, but he could be tempted by Aston Villa, according to reports. As you know, people, the majority of his game time last season and this has been off the bench. He has been dealing with injuries. Who knows, if we could swap Douglas Luiz for Smith Rowe and give them a little price tag, Smith Rowe might knock something off the transfer fee. According to Dean Jones, people, Smith Rowe to Aston Villa would be an interesting one to test out because he's still not getting a look in at Arsenal. Because of the level Villa have elevated themselves to, I think that might have been a bit different. That might have been a bit of a different look at it if you were someone like Smith Rowe, who's on the fringes and knows he's not going to be a big part anytime soon of what's going on at Arsenal. Had he been fit, he may have got opportunities. He could look across at Villa and think it's pretty exciting. Where you'd link up with Emery, gave you a debut. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He could be a bigger part of it there than at the Emirates, so it would be enticing for a player at some point. He's adamant that he wants to stick this out at Arsenal, but it will come to a point where he'll have a decision to make, and a team like Villa may be the one that proves to tempt him. He's contracted until 2026, but he's not that Emile Smith Rowe that will start in playing week in, week out, making the difference and ultimately getting England caps. So we might see less money, but there isn't too many players that we would want to sell or somewhat open to sell that are going to bring in a decent fee or allow us to save resources. You imagine a decision is going to be made on Partey, potentially Jorginho and El Nene. Ramsdale's days at Arsenal appear numbered. It seems to be important, in my opinion, to collect a fee, depending on if you sign a striker or a winger. Reece Nelson and Nketiah might become even more on the peripheral things, and Smith Rowe might be someone that could bring money. The only reason I might be reluctant to sell Emile Smith Rowe and or Reece Nelson and Nketiah is because of the homegrown laws. But I think we need to keep Smith Rowe until the end of the season, but he has a decision to make, really and truly. Apparently, Arsenal are set to sell Partey in January as three-man transfer wish list is revealed. I don't think anyone necessarily believes that. He's injured, he's not playing, and he's on big wages. And I'm sure Arsenal might say, do you know what, you can help us achieve whatever we're trying to collectively achieve this season. You and anyone else who's relatively a key player at Arsenal or a major player, if you want to move in the summer, do your thing, people. Crazy. Partey has been limited to just 4 appearances in the Prem. That is crazy. He's not expected to return to January, as we know, but he'll miss another month if he goes to play for Ghana. Juventus and clubs in the Middle East have been linked with him, people. We all know we're looking at Douglas Luiz. We all know we've got an interest allegedly in Pedro Neto and Ivan Toney, so that can't be anything there. And I don't know how Thomas Partey's sale, obviously we need money. We're treading lightly with FFP, with the new deals we've given and the money we've been spending, but Thomas Partey ain't going to bring that much money in January that allows us to negotiate, and it doesn't make sense. Maybe if you can bring a cut price midfielder in that is of a decent level, Tyre Solver, of course I would like a centre middle too. I'd like a striker, I'd like a winger. I think long term we need to be looking at a number 2 goalie, because it appears, you never know, but Ramsdale's days appear numbered, people. Off topic, but if you didn't know, in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, we've been drawn at home to Liverpool. That is scheduled to be played in and around the Saturday of January the 6th for 2024 and Sunday, January the 7th. So an already condensed fixture list is even bigger. We all know Tomiyasu is one of the more informed players at Arsenal at the moment, and apparently he is set to sign a new deal, as we've seen via The Athletic. Apparently progress is being made towards Benjamin White and Tomiyasu signing new deals, and he's been offered a big wage, allegedly, people. And he deserves an upgrade on the 55 grand a week he's getting, really, because you at 25 and being a reliable player, whether he's a rotation option, a finisher off the bench, or a first team regular, you're not going to get the wages that Saka, Martinelli and them players get. But, and I'm not pocket watching, but he probably is a bit underpaid. And at 25, if I'm Arsenal, I want him to sign a 5-year deal, maybe a 4-year contract with the option of a 5th. If I'm Tomiyasu, I probably want to sign a 3-year deal with the option of a 4th, just because you're always 18 months. A bit like Bukayo Saka. He was always 18 months or so away from negotiating a new contract. But big up Tomiyasu, because he deserves it. He is contracted until 2025, and we do have an option allegedly to extend it by a further year. So we essentially have him tied down until 2026. And he's been a very good player for us since joining from Bologna or Serie A in the summer of 2021. And I think he's made 71, or I don't know if that's changed with us, obviously, beating Wolves and him playing against Wolves now. But 71, 72 odd appearances, probably would have had 100 had he not, unfortunately, had injuries. But it shows the value of a squad. And Tomiyasu, obviously everyone has good or bad games, but at moment he's one of the first names on the team sheet. He looks confident, he's staying fit, he's improving in the final third, marrying that with being switched on defensively. We need a squad. You know, in August, every player that isn't in the lineup, which Tomiyasu isn't, which even Gabriel wasn't, you know, days are numbered. Arteta don't feel them and things. But as you see, the games are coming thick and fast. We need, apologies for hitting the mic there, we need a squad, people. So in relation to Tomiyasu, Oshimen, Vlahovic, Tony, the young Brazilian lad, and anything else we've discussed, people, that's all I've got to say. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, people. I'm out.
Always just that accurate red light, defending.